"Move faster, girl! You're just a waitress, not the owner here." The shout echoed through the small diner as the drunk customers burst into laughter. The brown-haired waitress kept her head down, clutching her coffee tray, pretending not to hear. One man stuck out his leg to block her path, sneering, "Someone like you will never amount to anything." The door burst open. 6 Navy SEALs walked in. The team leader saw her and froze, his voice catching, "Anna Keller?" The entire diner fell silent. Anna Keller was 32 years old, with long brown hair and a small frame that made her seem almost invisible. She worked as a waitress in the only diner in a coastal town where everyone knew everyone else's business. Her regular customers were truck drivers, fishermen, and groups of young men who drank too much and thought too little. They treated her like background scenery, the quiet girl who cleaned tables, cleared dishes, and never talked back, no matter what they said to her. The comments she heard every day had become routine. "Hurry up, waitress! We don't have time to wait around." "She's probably some failure who ran away from somewhere else." "A shy girl like that will never make anything of herself." Even the diner owner, though she meant well, would tell Anna, "Just keep quiet and let it pass, honey." Anna accepted it all, keeping her head down and living her life in silence. But her hands were calloused and scarred in ways that suggested a different past. Few people bothered to notice. A teenage boy who worked part-time bussing tables later recalled, "One time I dropped a knife. It fell blade first toward the floor, but she caught it perfectly with 2 fingers. That kind of reflex isn't normal." What the townspeople didn't know was that Anna's quiet demeanor was carefully constructed. She had chosen this small town specifically because no one asked questions about where she came from or why she never talked about her past. She rented a small apartment above the hardware store, kept to herself, and worked 6 days a week serving coffee and pie to people who saw her as nothing more than hired help. The scars on her hands weren't from kitchen accidents. The way she moved through the diner wasn't clumsiness. It was someone who had been trained to assess every entrance, every exit, every potential threat in any room she entered. Her reflexes, when they occasionally showed, weren't luck. They were the result of years of training that most people couldn't imagine surviving. But Anna had made a promise to herself 3 years ago. She would never again be the person she used to be. She would live quietly, serve coffee, clean tables, and try to forget the weight of the lives she had once been responsible for protecting. The small-town diner felt safe, predictable. The customers might be rude, but they weren't dangerous. The work might be thankless, but it didn't require her to make life-or-death decisions. She thought she had successfully buried her past deep enough that it would never surface. She thought no one from her old life would ever find her in this forgotten coastal town. She was wrong. The door to her carefully constructed new life was about to be blown wide open by 6 men who knew exactly who she really was. It was a typical evening at the diner. The dinner rush had ended, but a group of local troublemakers had settled in for a night of drinking and harassing the staff. One of them, a large man with beer on his breath and cruelty in his eyes, had been targeting Anna all evening. He would deliberately spill things for her to clean up, make inappropriate comments, and block her path when she tried to serve other customers. The situation escalated when he grabbed a beer bottle and started threatening another customer over some imagined slight. Anna approached quietly. "Please put the bottle down." The man laughed mockingly and swung the bottle toward the other customer's head. In an instant that no one fully saw, Anna moved. Her hand touched his wrist with surgical precision. The bottle dropped to the floor and shattered. The man stared at his suddenly numb hand in confusion. The diner fell quiet for a few seconds, then erupted in nervous laughter. "Lucky break, I guess." But rumors started that night. There was something different about the quiet waitress. A few days later, during the busy breakfast shift, the rumble of military vehicles could be heard outside. 6 Navy SEALs entered the diner, their boots dusty from travel, their faces serious and focused. Commander Ross, the team leader, stopped dead when he saw Anna refilling coffee cups at the counter. His voice carried across the entire diner. Anna Keller? Every conversation stopped. Every head turned. The entire diner fell silent. Customers looked from Ross to Anna and back again, completely bewildered. Why does a Navy SEAL know her name? Anna's coffee pot trembled in her hands. For the first time since she'd arrived in town, her carefully maintained composure cracked slightly. The diner owner later recalled, I saw Anna's eyes light up with recognition, but also like she wanted to run away. She didn't want anyone to know who she really was. Ross stepped closer, his voice filled with emotion. Lieutenant Keller. Spectre 3. We thought you were gone. The gasps from the diner customers were audible. Someone whispered, Spectre 3? What does that mean? A drunk customer who had been harassing Anna all week looked confused and frightened. She's just a waitress. Anna set down the coffee pot with shaking hands and faced the team she had once served alongside. Her voice was barely audible. I used to be a Navy SEAL, sniper with Spectre unit. During a 2014 mission, my entire team was killed or wounded. I was the only one who made it out. I left the service and chose to disappear. Ross nodded with understanding. No one blames you for what happened. We're alive today because of what you did. He turned to address the entire diner, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had seen real combat. Do you people know who's been serving your coffee? This woman saved 12 Navy SEALs during a port operation. She's someone we thought had died protecting others. The whispers changed to heavy silence. The men who had been harassing her couldn't meet her eyes. A regular customer who came in every morning whispered to his companion, We've been calling a legend that quiet little waitress for 3 years. One of the younger SEALs in Ross's team stepped forward, his eyes red with emotion. Ma'am, if it weren't for you, I would have died that night. Seeing you here, I can't even find the words. The truth was finally out. The woman they had dismissed and mistreated was someone whose courage and skill had saved lives in ways they couldn't imagine. The full story emerged slowly, piece by piece, as Ross and his team shared what they could about Anna's service record. She had been part of an elite sniper unit that conducted the most dangerous operations in maritime environments. Her call sign, Spectre 3, had become legendary among Special Operations Forces for precision under impossible conditions. During a hostage rescue operation at a shipping port, Anna's team had been ambushed while extracting civilian hostages and wounded SEALs. She had provided overwatch and covering fire that allowed the evacuation to succeed, but at a terrible cost. The entire team was either killed or critically wounded, Ross explained to the stunned diner customers. Anna stayed behind to ensure everyone else got out alive. When the dust settled, we thought she had been killed too. But Anna had survived, carrying the guilt of being the only team member who walked away from that operation. The weight of that survival had driven her to request discharge and disappear completely. I couldn't live with being called a hero when everyone else died, Anna said quietly. So I came here, where no one would know who I used to be. The diner owner, tears in her eyes, looked at Anna with new understanding. Honey, why didn't you ever tell us? Because I didn't want to be that person anymore, Anna replied. I wanted to be someone ordinary, someone safe. The transformation in how the townspeople treated Anna was immediate and profound. The man who had been harassing her all week approached hesitantly. "Ma'am, I owe you more than an apology. I had no idea who you were." "You weren't wrong to treat me like a regular person," Anna said. "That's all I wanted to be." Other customers began sharing their own observations. "I always wondered why you never seemed scared of anything. Now I understand why you could handle any troublemaker who came in here. You've been protecting this place, haven't you? Even as a waitress." Ross and his team had come to the town following up on old intelligence, never expecting to find their missing teammate serving coffee in a small diner. "We've been looking for you for 3 years, one of the SEALS told her. "Not to bring you back, but to make sure you were okay. You saved our lives, and then you vanished." The youngest member of Ross's team, barely out of his 20s, approached Anna with obvious emotion. "Ma'am, I was one of the hostages you helped rescue during that port operation. I was just a kid then, but I remember your voice over the radio, keeping us calm while you got us out." Anna listened to these testimonials, realizing that her attempt to escape her past had been both successful and incomplete. She had successfully hidden from her reputation, but she couldn't hide from the people whose lives she had touched. The diner owner spoke up. "Anna, you've been working here for 3 years. In all that time, we never had a single serious incident. Troublemakers would come in acting tough, but somehow they always calmed down when you were around." "You were still protecting people," Ross observed. "You just changed the battlefield." A local police officer who frequented the diner added his perspective. "I always wondered why this place felt so safe. Now I know we had a guardian angel in an apron." As the evening wore on, Anna began to understand that running away from her identity hadn't made her past disappear. It had just changed the way she served others. She realized that the skills and instincts that had made her an effective SEAL hadn't vanished. They had been redirected into protecting customers, diffusing situations, and maintaining peace in a small-town diner. Ross made one final observation. Spectre 3 didn't die in that port operation. She just found a different way to serve. The question now was whether Anna could accept that both versions of herself, the elite warrior and the small-town waitress, could coexist, whether she could honor her fallen teammates by living fully rather than hiding from the person they had died protecting. The days following the SEALS visit brought a fundamental change to the atmosphere in the diner. No more harassment, no more cruel jokes, no more treating Anna like she was invisible or worthless. The townspeople looked at her with different eyes now, not with fear or awe, but with the quiet respect that comes from understanding someone's true worth. One evening, Ross returned alone and placed an old military commendation on Anna's table. "This should have been yours years ago." Anna shook her head gently. "I don't need it." Ross smiled. "But we need you to know that your service mattered." The regular customers began treating Anna differently, but not in the way she had feared. They didn't ask for war stories or treat her like a celebrity. Instead, they simply acknowledged her with the respect she had always deserved. The man who had been most abusive approached her during a quiet afternoon. "Ma'am, I've been thinking about what I said to you. About never amounting to anything. I was wrong about everything." "You weren't wrong to see me as just a waitress," Anna replied. "That's what I chose to be." "But you chose it after being something most of us can't even imagine," he said. "That makes all the difference." From that day forward, the corner booth where Anna took her breaks remained empty when she wasn't using it. Not because people were avoiding it, but as an unspoken acknowledgement of the space that exists around someone who has carried burdens most people never face. A young mother who brought her children to the diner for breakfast every Sunday told Anna, "My kids always felt safe here. Now I know why." The diner owner offered Anna a partnership in the business. "I can't pay you what you're worth, but I can give you a stake in something you've been protecting all along." Anna considered the offer carefully. For the first time in 3 years, she was being asked to be more than just a background figure in someone else's story. "I'm not ready to be Spectre 3 again," she said finally. "But maybe I can be Anna Keller, who used to be Spectre 3. The distinction mattered. She didn't have to choose between her past and her present. She could acknowledge both without being defined entirely by either. The small-town diner had become more than a hiding place. It had become a place where both versions of herself could exist peacefully. People easily shout, "Move faster!" and mock a quiet waitress carrying coffee trays. But those hands once held weapons that saved lives and pulled entire teams back from death. Anna Keller didn't need titles or recognition. Just one moment of being called by her real name, and her past blazed to life, silencing an entire town. The lesson is profound. Never underestimate anyone, especially those who choose silence. They may carry a history you wouldn't dare to face. Behind every quiet service worker might be someone who has sacrificed more than we can imagine, choosing anonymity not from weakness, but from the weight of memories too heavy to display. Heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear aprons and serve coffee, protecting people in ways that are invisible but no less real. If you've ever seen someone quiet do something extraordinary, leave a dot in the comments and subscribe to SN Quiet Stories to hear more tales like this.